Good morning, everybody. Welcome back, book lovers. Thank you for tuning in to another review. And what if writing a short story could get you executed? What if reading the wrong book could send you to a labor camp? The Accusation by Bandi. This is The Accusation by Bandi, is one of the most extraordinary books ever published. A collection of short stories smuggled out of North Korea, written by an anonymous author who is apparently still living under the regime. This is a book that exists at great personal risk, and today we're going to explore why it matters so much. So, the accusation was translated by Deborah Smith. It was published in Korean in 2014, and the English translation was published in 2017. And it's a collection of short stories set in North Korea with a remarkable origin story. So we don't actually know who Bandi is. Bandi is a pseudonym derived from the Korean word for firefly, and it's the chosen name of a writer who still lives in North Korea and asked a relative to smuggle these stories out when that relative fled the country, fled North Korea. And it's an extraordinary piece of work in that it's a collection of stories that are deeply critical of North Korea, written by someone who works inside the system and is, for all we know, still there. If this person was ever exposed, we can only assume that they would face rather severe punishment. So there's never really been a book like this. Obviously, writers have written about life inside North Korea, and we have lots of accounts from defectors and so on. But in terms of fiction written by someone who was born and raised in the country, I think this is a historical first, I believe. So, do we know anything about Bandi or what compelled him to write these stories? So, stories which, like I said, could potentially see him and his family sent to a re education camp, or possibly even worse if his identity was revealed. So only scraps of Bandi's life story are publicly known. Apparently, he born in 1950, went to China with his parents during the Korean War, returned to North Korea after the war. He apparently had an early aptitude for writing and joined the Chosun Writers League Central Committee and was getting published in North Korean magazines. However, he became increasingly disillusioned with the Kim family and the regime in general during the arduous march which followed the death of Kim Il Sung. And during this time, he witnessed the deaths of many people around him, became critical of the what he regarded as the corrupt regime that had made these deaths and this sort of dire situation at the time possible. He wrote these stories to describe North Korean life as he saw it. And although afraid to try and leave the country himself because of his family, when a family member revealed that they were leaving, Bandi arranged for his stories to leave too. And the publication of the stories was called an international literary sensation, and saw Bandi's descriptions of life inside North Korea compared to the now very familiar comparisons of Franz Kafka and George Orwell. And Shin Kyung-suk, the author of Please Look After Mom and The Court Dancer and so on, said that, quote, all we can do is to read these accusations. Only that will save the writer who wrote them and sent them out into the world at the risk of his own life. So, what types of stories is Bandi telling in this collection? What aspects of North Korean society is he criticizing and satirizing? So, all of the 7 stories here were seemingly written between 1989 and 1995. So, that gives us some sort of idea of the period of time in North Korea that they are reflecting on. There are a lot of common threads and themes linking these stories together. So we often see the cruel hypocrisy of officials, the arbitrary justice that is often handed out, the daily cost of living under the burden of secrets keeping secrets, this desperate desire to climb the social ladder, which is extremely difficult and challenging. And everywhere we see the casual cruelty and daily struggle of people who are often suffering in unforgiving circumstances. A common element of most of the stories is characters having a moment of revelation, realizing that they have been fed lies or manipulated into believing an illusion. So, several stories feature characters who have devoted their life to hard work. They've listened to their government, they've starved, they've strived only for some small infraction or minor transgression, seeing them stripped of everything they had, or simply coming to realize that it was all for naught, it was all for nothing. So let me give you a couple of examples of these sort of specific revelations. So, if we look at the first and last stories in the book, we can see some interesting parallels. So, the first story is called Record of a Defection. And in it, we have a man who's from an undesirable background. Excuse me. His family history has prevented him from rising in society, from climbing the social ladder. However, he manages to marry a woman who has a spotless family record, an impeccable sort of a pedigree. And people are shocked. They say, why? Why would a white heron marry a black crow? He's given an opportunity at a local factory and he devotes himself to it, thinking that he might be allowed to join the party if he works hard and proves himself in this factory. He comes to think that his wife is cheating on him, however, that she regrets marrying someone with such a blemished background. But the truth is far bleaker. She's being exploited too, all in search of this unattainable goal. There's this very bitter realization that all the hard work was worthless, it was meaningless, and the only option is to try and leave, try and escape. And that might be the most optimistic story in this collection. In the final story, we encounter the bleakest set of circumstances. So, again, we have a man who has worked diligently all his life. He's followed the rules, he's tirelessly did what was asked of him. And then, because of some tiny indiscretion, for some minor infraction, he's sent into the countryside to work. Nevertheless, the man endures. He still believes. He still keeps working hard every day in these very difficult circumstances, engaged in thankless work, until again, another minor transgression, a tiny infraction, leads to him being accused of being a traitor, and this ultimately leads to his public execution. And it really is an indictment, of the sort of the circumstances that have pushed this man into this position. And it's the story of a man whose humanity is just slowly crushed out of him. So, what do we think? What was Bandi trying to achieve with these stories? So, a lot of these stories are a testament to the human will to endure, to survive terrible circumstances. But in some of the stories, you can feel the anger rising off the page, and these stories are trying to shine a light on a system that his characters are trapped within. And there's an untitled poem that closes the book that maybe reveals his intention. And it's very short, so I'll read it here. So 50 years in this northern land, living as a machine that speaks, living as a human under a yoke, without talent, with a pure indignation, written not with pen and ink, but with bones drenched with blood and tears. In this writing of mine, reader, I beg you to read my words. So, should you read this book? Yes. If you want a rare first-hand perspective on life inside North Korea, if you appreciate dystopian literature like Orwell's 1984 or Kafka's The Trial, And if you just believe in the power of literature as a form of resistance, you might want to avoid this if you'd prefer, if you're looking for light reading or uplifting stories, this is not the book to pick up. And if you don't want to really read about real life suffering or injustice, then yeah, definitely skip this one. But if you believe in bearing witness to the truth, The Accusation is a book you won't forget. I should mention, though, there was some controversy about this book, and some people doubt the origin of these stories. So who knows? Maybe these stories weren't written by somebody inside North Korea and it's all a scam or a con or something like this. But I don't know what the outcome of that was. But anyway, what do you think? Have you read The Accusation? Do you believe literature has the power to create change? So please feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to know what you think. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more deep dives into global literature, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.